We've proven time and again our community rises with each challenge. Neighbors, businesses coming together to support one another and prove we're in this together. We've missed you experiencing our community, our heritage and history, our restaurants and breweries, festivals and arts, attractions and outdoor spaces. Macon's soul is intact and is part of who we are and what we do. Although we've just experienced a difficult time, we'll be here when you're ready to visit. We can't wait to be part of your next adventure.
Heather, I think that Yvonne is muted.
Good morning. I'm Yvonne Williams, President of the Greater Macon Chamber of Commerce. We welcome the community to today's Town Forum. We're happy to present these Town Forums as an effort to update the community on very important topics. Today, we're most pleased to have a sponsor from Cadence Bank. Cadence is one of our wonderful presenting sponsors for the Chamber, and today we welcome Bruce Light, Market President, to make some remarks.
Yvonne, thank you very much. And I want to first of all say thank you to Yvonne for your leadership. Thank you to the team at the Greater Macon Chamber of Commerce. To Julia Magda, thank you, Julia, for your leadership on the Board of Directors. We are so appreciative of what the Greater Macon Chamber of Commerce does for us as business members. Our chamber has been in existence now for 160 years, and it's amazing to think what this chamber has done for our business community during that time. So, Julia and Yvonne, thank you so much for your leadership. At Cadence, obviously, one of the things that we strive to do is to make sure we're taking care of our clients. And we do that by providing financial products and services to help meet the needs of their businesses and also in their personal lives. But one of the other things we feel is extremely important is to make sure that we are involved in the community and make sure we're giving back to this community that's given so much to us. And there's no other organization that we feel more strongly about being involved with than the Greater Macon Chamber of Commerce for the reasons I just mentioned. We are so excited to be able to sponsor this town hall today. We're looking forward to hearing from our two panelists here in a few minutes. And I know Julia is going to introduce our panelists, but I want to say a thank you to them as well. First of all, Josh Rogers, to you and Newtown Macon, to your staff, to your board of directors, thank you for what you have done and what you are doing to help revitalize downtown Macon. I moved to Macon in 1995, and quite frankly, when I moved here, there was not a lot going on in downtown Macon at that time. Well, fast forward 25 years to today, and there's every reason in the world to be in downtown Macon. There's so much that we have to offer. There's something for people of all ages, not just on the weekends, but every day of the week. And Josh, that would not have happened without you in Newtown Macon, so thank you very much for what you do. And then Gary Wheat. Gary, a special thank you to you and your team at Visit Macon, to your board of directors as well, for all that you do to promote tourism in Macon-Bibb. We know you work tirelessly to spread the word about what we have going on here in Macon-Bibb, and you do that across the state, across the Southeast, across the country, and really around the globe. And because of your efforts, we see on an annual basis literally thousands and thousands of people coming to Macon-Bibb to discover what we have to offer. And oh, by the way, while they're here, they spend their money. And that money stays right here in our local economy. And that's the lifeblood of our economy. So Gary, a special thank you to you and your team at Visit Macon. Again, it's our honor and privilege at Cadence to be able to sponsor this event today. We're so looking forward to hearing from our speakers. Thank you for this opportunity. And with that, Yvonne, I'll turn it back over to you.
Well, thank you, Bruce, and the full team at Cadence. We just really feel like we're joined at the hip with you all as wonderful supporters of the Chamber, and we appreciate your being with us today. I'm very pleased to introduce our chairwoman, Julia Magda, who will formally introduce our guest today. Thank you, Julia.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce this dynamic duo. They're kind of like Superman and Batman for Macon. So I want to welcome first Josh Rogers, who's the president and CEO of Newtown Macon, as Bruce said. Josh leads the nonprofit where he works to attract, leverage, and invest in self-sustaining transformation for downtown Macon, Georgia. Over his career, he's been an innovator in using real estate to spark and sustain revitalization of communities that are desperate for reinvestment, much like our own downtown. One of his signature abilities is to use market forces to cause revitalization, especially by investing directly in real estate development of nonprofit owned projects. Part of these strategies involve infrastructure and programming, where Rogers has led such projects as the Soapbox Derby and the world's largest pop-up bike lane network. Josh serves in a variety of leadership roles across the community, including the boards for the Georgia Trust for Historic Preservation, the Macon-Bibb Planning and Zoning Commission, the One Macon Steering Committee, our own Greater Macon Chamber of Commerce, the Mercer Innovation Center, and the Grand Opera House. Josh holds degrees from Mercer University and the University of York, England. He resides in a historic home in downtown Macon, what would you expect, with his beautiful wife, Megan, and 2 young children, Jack and Ellie. Josh, I'll turn it over to you for your opening remarks.
Thank you, Julia. And thank you, Bruce, for Cadence sponsoring this. We feel just like Yvonne does about working with Cadence. We're very lucky to have you in our community. So I just wanted to say a little bit about downtown Macon and also what's going on through the pandemic right now. For those of you who aren't familiar with Newtown Macon, we were founded in 1996 by Peyton Anderson Foundation and their inaugural leader, Juanita Jordan, who just passed away 2 weeks ago. She took over the foundation for Peyton Anderson, and he told her he wanted to do this before he passed away. And she said, well, what do you want me to do with all this money? And he told her, I don't know, Juanita, you'll figure it out. You know me better than anyone else. So she had nearly carte blanche with this enormous fortune. And one of the first things she decided was that she wanted to save downtown Macon. Peyton Anderson felt really strongly that he had made all his money here and his money needed to stay here. And she felt like one of the best tributes to his legacy would be to bring downtown Macon back to life. So she founded Newtown Macon in 1996. We're a private nonprofit. And the first study that we did, Bruce, you'll recognize this. You moved here in 1995. The first study we did was 1996. And the findings were that downtown's upper floors had been almost entirely abandoned. There was no nightlife or restaurant scene. And the riverfront was a liability instead of an asset. It may be hard for some of you who are newer to town to imagine that, but most of our riverfront land was either abandoned lots or industrial use or used car lots. We didn't have any riverfront walking trail or parks. So it was a nearly mind-boggling vision to believe that we could bring back the river and revitalize downtown. The keys to our success, really, as we look back now over the past 25 years, number one is when we set out to come up with a plan for downtown, we didn't do it on our own. That we've always embraced a community-wide plan with thousands of people participating with input. Number two, I would say, is that even when we've come up with a plan, we haven't implemented it ourselves. So anyone, a business, an individual, or a nonprofit can go get money from the Community Foundation of Central Georgia if they're willing to do anything on the plan. And I think that's why in just 5 years, we're 85% complete with the first round of Make an Action Plan. The next thing that's been really unique to Newtown is our ability to pair financial assistance with coaching and advice. And so people can come to Newtown whether they want to start a business or they want to rehabilitate a building. And they can get all the training, market analysis, coaching, and advice that they need. But then they can also leave with the money to actually do that idea. So working together is, we just applied in April to become Macon's first community development financial institution. And what that basically means is exactly that we balance financial products with training and assistance to help local people make it happen. The pandemic hit downtown hard, just like everywhere in the entire world. That first week of shutdowns, we had business owners come into our office who had never laid off employees before, who were laying off 10, 12, 50 people at a time, one by one throughout the day. And they were asking us how to do it. And so we found ourselves where we really needed to provide very specific technical advice really quickly to a large number of businesses about how to access CARES Act resources and also how to support their employees. So thanks to grants from Knight Foundation, Community Foundation, and United Way, during the pandemic, we ran online classes for free for local businesses to be able to ask for advice, and then we did one-on-one coaching. I think that's probably the biggest reason that almost every business downtown has reopened. The biggest thing you can do to help right now is to support these local businesses. If you wear a mask, almost all of our dining rooms and bars are open. So you can go out to eat. You can have a lunch date again. You can take your family out to eat. If you're more comfortable having a little more space, we've added outdoor seating in all our public parks. So you can grab a to-go meal at any of these places. Not only that, thanks to the county, you can now have an open container every day of the week, not just First Friday. So if you'd like to grab a craft cocktail with your meal and take it to a park, you're welcome to do that. And then we also have curbside to go. So everywhere is still doing curbside to go with free parking spaces out front. So if you'd like to grab your meal and go home to be more comfortable, that's fine. There is a way for you to comfortably and safely support every one of our downtown businesses, and we really need you to do that. Even our retailers offer the same thing with curbside to go. I'm still really excited about the future. I am incredibly optimistic. Even during the pandemic, we've had new businesses open: Fall Line Brewing, Kimchi Factory, Kenjo Kitchen and Cocktails, Crave Scratch Kitchen, and Per Diem Market all have opened during the pandemic. And the loft market is still going incredibly well. We're at 96% occupancy in our 688 lofts. In fact, we set a record for storefront occupancy last month, which is almost unbelievable, but we're at 77% storefront occupancy, which is up from 50% in 2012. We're working every day with new prospects. Our board is still making loans. We are going to close our largest loan ever next Tuesday on the 94-room Marriott Tribute Hotel at 682 Cherry Street, the old Willie Hill Annex. It's going to be a $37 million downtown hotel with 3 restaurants, including a rooftop bar. Dr. Gotze always says that downtown's on the right side of history, and I believe that citizens are now aware more than ever how important local businesses are when they choose to spend their money. So I'm really optimistic. I really think that downtown's going to come out of this incredibly strong. And it plays such an important role for quality of life for everyone. People across the country are now moving to places where they want to live, not to find a job. And so I think downtown plays a really important role in the future of downtown Macon's economic success. And we're really happy to be partnered with the Chamber to continue driving population growth and looking forward to a lot of future success. I couldn't be prouder of Macon Bibb citizens and our downtown business owners who have just faced overwhelming obstacles and met that with unbridled determination to succeed.
Right.
Thank you, Josh. Our next guest is Gary Wheat, who's the president and CEO of Visit Macon. Gary relocated here from Aurora, Colorado, where he had served as the president and CEO of Visit Aurora, which was a destination marketing organization that he launched in 2010. He has led 4 CVBs, which is a Convention and Visitors Bureau, for those of you not familiar with the lingo, 2 of which he launched. And he's been successful in developing innovative ways to growing tax revenue and creating tourism products. Gary enjoys being an ambassador for tourism and contributing to the economic growth of all of Central Georgia. An engaged leader with decades of experience in the tourism industry, Gary brings valuable experience in key business areas of business and financial management, media relations, plus sales and marketing. He has demonstrated considerable success in developing strategies to grow not only leisure and cultural tourism that we're all familiar with, but also healthcare and transportation industry related tourism. Gary, thank you for being with us today, and I'll turn it over to you for your comments.
Thank you, Julia, and also thank you to Yvonne and Bruce for allowing me to be a part of this. And Josh, I got to settle one thing before I get started. I'm Batman. So as long as we got that out of the way, obviously, I appreciate the opportunity to kind of talk about our industry and what it's gone through over the last 6 or 7 months. This is something, in my 20 plus years of doing this, we saw 9/11 that we celebrate today and we honor today We saw the Great Recession, but nothing prepared our industry for what we saw with the pandemic. And to immediately see the faucet turn off as far as travel and people locked down was very eye-opening, and something that you really can't plan for, but you always have to be prepared for. We always say, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. And thank goodness I've got a wonderful team. None of them panicked. Our board was very supportive. We had put ourselves in a great position coming into this. We were in year 2 of a 3-year plan. Obviously, the minute the pandemic hit, we threw that out the window. One of the things that makes this crisis a little bit different than those that I've seen in the past is that previously we all kind of knew where we were. One of my counterparts succinctly said when we were talking about this is that we are all in the same storm, but we're in different boats. And that means that every destination is having to deal with this in a different way. And for us, that is so true. We were very fortunate that we had some things in place that could help us with that plan. We immediately pivot, and I know that's a word we're all used to right now, is pivoting. And we pivoted to a new plan, the future of tourism and Macon as we saw it, and we started implementing that. And what that meant is, where are the areas where we can rebound the quickest, and where can we battle back and claw back at the same time, knowing that our partners out there need us to be prevalent. Because as you know, we're funded by the hotel motel tax, and we have 11 other partners that depend on that tax coming in, and that's collected on every room night. And one of the things that we saw in March, obviously March is a huge year for us with the cherry blossoms, the festival, one of our largest months. And March 15th, the Ides of March, the bottom fell out. And we literally can track that through our data, is that's when it turned off. And we had no one traveling, we had nobody staying in hotels. I want to say specifically a huge kudos to our hotels. Throughout the pandemic, we only had one that shut its doors for the pandemic. The rest got lean and mean in how they operated. Unfortunately, we had to furlough employees here, but everybody kind of stuck together. Got amazing staff that knew exactly what they needed to do, even though it was uncertain times and something that they had never experienced. So the partners and the collaboration and coming together, whether that was us, whether that was partnering with Newtown, whether that's the Chamber, Industrial Authority, we were all there together, talking and communicating and knowing what we needed to do. So obviously for us going forward, April is what we basically called our throwaway month. We ran about 26% occupancy in our hotels, which if you look at it, that's horrible. It's the worst I've ever seen in my career. However, for that, we performed better than a lot of our counterparts in Georgia. We performed a lot. We're hearing horror stories across the country of CDBs and DMOs like ourselves that were at 5-10% occupancy for a month. A lot of these destinations have shuttered organizations like ours because they just weren't in a place where they could continue. A lot of destinations, say Atlanta or a lot of the larger ones, depend on the convention business, and the convention business went away, and is for the most part still gone. So we pivoted to what we knew we could work with, what we knew we could control, what we knew we could speak to. One of the first things that we did is we helped our Cherry Blossom Festival throw a virtual Cherry Blossom Festival, which was very successful and pulled off within a week of planning. And one of the things we were able to do from Visit Macon standpoint is we were able to hire our local musicians who were no longer performing live and allow them to perform on Facebook Live. They got great response. So it allowed them to put some money in their pocket, keep going, but at the same time showing them that we weren't going to abandon them in a desperate time. Another thing is our interstate system. We've got 475, 1675. So we knew truck traffic was still flowing. If you remember, so much was made about the truck drivers getting the freight through to the people that needed it, whether that was toilet paper, food, you name it. We reached out to some of our contacts in the trucking industries We looked at GDOT construction. Thank goodness we had construction because their workers were still working, staying in hotels. We reached out to our healthcare partners. So everything kind of came together for us. Another thing was people wanted outdoor. They wanted to distance. And so with the Okmulgee Mounds National Historical Park, that was a huge lift for us. Unfortunately, they shut down around May, but they did open back up on a part-time basis in June. So we were able to leverage that to market to people and tell our story and get in front of them. I mentioned the interstate. Another way that we approach that is Georgia has 11 visitor centers throughout the state on our interstate system. We were able to geofence each of those 11 visitor centers, and now we're able to track people. We push the message of book now, stay in Macon tonight, get off the interstate, enjoy our food, enjoy our stay, lodging, and we're able to track those people all the way to the parking lot of our hotels. We know that by tracking their phones, that's a little bit big brother, but we're not doing anything evil. We're just trying to track that and make sure that we're getting the return on the investment of bringing these people in and making sure we're helping our partners. So that was critical for us, is to be able to not only market to people, tell our story, get in front of them, but also track those folks into Macon so that we know that we are contributing to that economy. So that was kind of the plan we went to. And then obviously the first thing we knew that might be coming back was film. If you're not familiar, in the October of 2018, we absorbed Film Macon and became our camera ready liaison here in the community, and have seen some success with these films in Georgia coming in, these productions coming in. So we're very thankful that those were going to come back quick, because Hollywood and the production companies are going to make sure that all their people are safe. So we knew that they would be prepared to launch early as soon as they got the green light. I'm happy to say right now, as we speak, we have 2 productions in town, which are definitely lifting those hotel revenues, which we need desperately to support our partners. We have 2 more on the horizon, hopefully for the fall, and then 2 more in early 2021. So film has started production because they need new content. Everybody has watched and binged and in quarantine every favorite show, every movie, so it's time to return back to that content. So we're happy we were able to do that. And then during the pandemic, one of the fortunate things that happened is Congress passed the Great American Outdoors Act, which provided deferred maintenance money to its national park system. That benefits Okmulgee Mounds National Historical Park to the tune of about $8.6 million. So that's a great opportunity for them to put some money into that park. The National Park Service in October will be launching a study to see what the new boundaries will look like, what cultural aspects or attractions can go into that. So we will be reaching out through Yvonne and through the chamber to get public comment to the National Park Service for that.
Right.
So we're excited about that moving forward, even during a pandemic. So how can you help us? Well, go to your local restaurants, go to your attractions, your museums, go and take advantage of that. Here in about a week or so, the Okmulgee Indian celebration, which is normally a very large event for us, is going to go virtual. So I ask that everybody make time to check that out a little bit and support the mounds. And also, just, if you want to get away, get out of your house. I know we've all been in our house way too much over the last few months. So maybe go stay at one of our local hotels and let those 3,800 hospitality workers in our community know that you're behind them and that you support them. We're excited because this past week we reopened our downtown visitor center. Come on down and speak with us, and we've had good traction with travelers coming through. So we're excited about the future. We're slowly working our way back a little bit at a time, but we're very positive and optimistic about what the future holds. And matter of fact, as I speak, our sales team is showing around a group of planners for an event for next summer that will bring 20,000 people to Macon. So we're on the right track. We're headed in the right direction, and we just appreciate the support of not only the Chamber, Newtown, and all our partners that are out there each day, just trying to make Macon a better place to live and to visit.
Well, thank you both. Thank you both, Josh and Gary. This is just wonderful updates. And the theme is partnerships really matter, and our partnerships are growing as we speak. There's an opportunity for the community to come together. In fact, on Making It Safe Pledge, that really will support us becoming more and more conscious of health standards, but also enjoying the opening of businesses. How do you think this campaign will directly help the tourism and the downtown efforts? And I think both of you could start with, I think both of these questions will be appropriate for both of you to have answers.
Gary, I'll give you a breather since you just finished up. Vaughn, I'm really proud that all of us are banding together to launch this pledge. There's no question that there are things we can do to reduce transmission. And if we want to get back to normal, that's the only path between here and there, is to have fewer infections spreading in our community. So I am confident that, I've seen a level of responsibility among our business owners that has been really heartwarming. And so I'm confident that our entrepreneurs are going to adapt to this pledge really quickly and ensure that they are taking into account everything the CDC is advising us about what we can do to keep our patrons safe and also to keep our staff safe in hospitality and in downtown. The people who are working in these businesses are having a lot of contact with patrons. And so for every patron who is doing everything they can, like wearing a mask or staying home if they have symptoms, every patron is doing everything they can to be the safest possible, is going to ensure that those people can continue showing up to work and those businesses stay open. So I'm really pleased and honored that we're joining with you on this pledge. And I hope that every business across the county will sign up for the pledge and do everything they can to keep their patrons and staff safe so that we can keep our economy working.
Yvonne, I would echo what Josh said, because it's very important, especially in our world. As I mentioned, conventions and meetings and events like that are kind of hesitant to return in full force. And when that returns, it's going to be a whole lot different because of spacing, because of distancing. They will not be allowed to get as many delegates, participants to come in. So, but the number one question we get asked now is, what are your steps? What are your protocols? What are your precautions to keep our delegates or our participants or attendees safe? And I think that's critical, that we have programs like that we're going through now and joining forces with y'all on, is to make sure that people are reassured that we're thinking about this, that we're working on it each and every day, and especially our visitors, because as Josh said, they come in contact with our frontline workers each and every day in force. So we want to make sure that they feel safe, and by having as many participants in this program as possible, it gives that reassurance to our visitors.
Well, thank you. And now I'd like to ask sort of a question on outlook and positive opportunities for the holiday season. What do you think about events coming back? Do you see those happening maybe in the last quarter, and especially our light show that's so popular? What are some of the things that we can give the community to look to be excited about as we go forward?
Right now, we are planning for the Christmas light extravaganza to take place. So those lights will start being hung very, very soon by superhero Brian Nichols. And the great thing about the Christmas lights is it's easy to experience and enjoy as a drive-through experience, if that's what you're most comfortable doing. And we've got enough blocks and enough times where the shows are running that people are going to be able to safely socially distance. So it may be one of the only events that we get to have this year, but as long as transmission rates stay low and our patrons can do everything that's in our pledge, like wearing masks to keep each other safe, then we are planning to have the Christmas light extravaganza this year. And I think it's just become such an important signature event. And it's unusual in that most events require you to be packed in really close to experience it together. But because this is a walk-through or drive-through experience, there's going to be plenty of opportunity for people to stay within their family groups and keep apart. So, yeah, we right now, again, I mean, what matters so much about this, to go back to the Making It Safe pledge, is that our patrons and business owners do everything they can to keep transmission rates low. Because if we don't get a handle on how quickly COVID-19 is spreading, then we'll have to scrap this event. And nobody wants that. So it's important that we act now to keep each other safe so that we can move forward with this event.
Thank you.
I would agree with Josh on that. Obviously, protocols, precautions, safety first for our citizens and our visitors. But I had a great meeting yesterday with Brian Nichols on this project, and I think from my standpoint, I'm looking forward to it because it's a positive thing. It's something our community comes together for. They enjoy it. It's an opportunity for all families and all people to enjoy it here. And it's one of those events that we look forward to each and every year just because of the impact tourism related. As we struggle through this year of 2020, one of the things that we look back on are the numbers. Last year, and I mentioned some of our tracking ability, and everybody who knows me I'm a numbers, I'm a data guy. And one of the things that we discovered is last year for Christmas lights, from the run from Thanksgiving through to the first of the year, it brought in 73,000 people from over 75 miles from Macon. So that in itself, and why do I say 75 miles? Because we figure anyone coming from over that distance is going to stay overnight and they're going to spend some money. And so I think for us, we're looking forward to this because, you know, we've had so many events canceled. We've had so much disappointment that it would be just great to make sure that we keep the levels down, the cases down, and make that pledge, keep it a safe event. And I think going forward, I'm excited about it. I know Brian's excited about it, and it's really just something to look forward to.
Great. Take out your crystal ball, and what would be your hopes for new infrastructure that would support downtown and the travel hospitality industry as we go forward?
Well, I think I'll kind of jump in here because Josh mentioned it earlier, the Marriott Tribute Hotel coming in downtown. I think, and I've said this all along, having a hotel of that nature and that style on this side of the river is a game changer for us. And I think the businesses downtown will see that. And it'll also lift up our other hotels in our community because it's a different product and it's a different price point and will attract a different visitor. So we're excited to see that infrastructure come in. It's something that if you see me walking down Cherry Street in a hard hat and a tool belt, just know that I'm going to work on it so we can get this thing open sooner rather than later and be able to get people in it and get engaged with that. So that's one of the things that we're looking forward to. And obviously we've had some great conversations with our mayor-elect on some of his vision going forward and as far as infrastructure and events and things of that nature. So we're optimistic and excited about the future.
Great.
Gary, will you also mention what the prospects for demand for future downtown hotels are going to be like, just in broad strokes?
Sure. We were very fortunate enough to be awarded a grant by the Knight Foundation to conduct a study and to look at specifically our downtown hotel market, but our hotel market as a whole in Macon-Bibb. And one of the things that discovered was our downtown proper can support up to 500 new rooms in the market and be successful without impacting our other properties and it's cannibalizing, if you will. So we made sure that we looked at the numbers. We had a third party, HVS, come in and do the study, and they're one of the premier groups in the nation for studying hotel markets and things of that nature. So it was very important that we looked at that and were able to provide Josh and Newtown that information as they look to plan new hotel projects downtown. And that gives him a baseline of saying, okay, here's our cap that we know comfortably we can be successful with. Now, obviously, that was before a pandemic, so we're going to take it one hotel at a time and one room at a time.
Well, thank you both. I'm going to switch to a question that came in from the audience. There was a question about Wi-Fi and what can we do to look for more Wi-Fi investment in the downtown and the central business district area.
Yeah, thanks to, I mentioned earlier, anybody could go get a grant to do something that improves downtown. Middle Georgia State University won a grant from Downtown Challenge at the Community Foundation of Central Georgia to install Wi-Fi along Poplar Street. So the free public Wi-Fi is now concentrated along Poplar Street, but all you've got to do is bring your Wi-Fi enabled device and you can log on to a free open access network to utilize Wi-Fi in downtown. I think, internet access is a public utility now. It's one of those basic necessities that you've got to have. And I think looking forward, we're going to have to be a lot more proactive across the county to make sure that all of our citizens have access to affordable and speedy internet connections. Like right now with Bibb County Schools being all virtual for 8 weeks, it's critical that people have got that access. So Poplar Street is one of those places where you can get free public Wi-Fi right now.
Right.
And I think from our standpoint, Yvonne, it's critical because that's how we communicate with our visitors now is over the Wi-Fi and through their mobile devices. And so it's important that we spread that and make sure it's accessible and it's inexpensive. One of the projects that we just launched and completed, we have 2 visitor centers, one at I-75 right before the split with 475. And that's been under renovation recently and will be reopening in October. And one of the things we did is there was no signal out there. There was no Wi-Fi. There was no cell phone boost. I mean, it was hard to get a signal just for our staff members. So we put a booster out there to boost cell phone signals and also to put Wi-Fi out there so that our visitors, we can communicate with them. Even if they're just stopping to stretch their legs and don't come out of our visitor center, we're still able to communicate with them and put an ad or encourage them to come to Macon while they're there. So very critical to what we do.
Well, finally for today, what do you see for the service jobs? Are they coming back? Do we see people being able to come back and have their traditional jobs, or are we still needing community services to wrap around those that may be still on furlough or unemployed?
Oh, that's a really tough question. I think almost every business right now is operating with lower revenues than they had previously. And so even if they're able to achieve profitability, they're doing it at lower staffing levels. One of the other things that was really furloughed employees having access to the pandemic unemployment payments helped juice sales and revenues for our businesses. So the people, even those who had been furloughed, still had enough income to be able to come downtown and shop and eat and drink. And so that helped support total sales and the ability of these businesses to make all their other obligations, from paying their vendors to their rent to their utility payments. And yeah, we're definitely still seeing weakness in that sector. So the pandemic unemployment's now been cut to $300 and only goes for a couple of weeks. So we're going to lose that level of support really quickly, and the total staffing levels are nowhere nearly back to where they were before the pandemic. And it's going to be months, I think, before we bridge through to total to meet our employment levels again. So there's still hundreds and hundreds of people out of work in just downtown Macon. And that safety net with pandemic unemployment going away is definitely fraying. So it's one thing to think about not wanting people to have more money to stay home than to work, but it's another to think about them not having any money flowing back into the local economy to support the businesses that are still open. And that's a big challenge. So yeah, there are definitely 2 huge challenges in that area. One, getting everybody back to work, and then making sure those people who are out of work have some resources to continue spending in our businesses to support the levels of revenue they have.
I think from the hospitality community and our partners, it's different business by business because each of their bottom lines have been different. Their revenues have been different. So you're seeing them come back at different levels. Some are bringing back the furloughs, rehiring, putting people back to work, and some of them are just not quite there yet. So we do operate a job board on our website that we encourage partners, if you have an opening, list it there so that we can push that out on our platforms and put these hospitality workers back to work in our community. So it's going to be, as Josh said, a very slow slog going forward to get back to the levels that we were at because just everybody's in a different boat when it comes to this.
Well, gentlemen, we really appreciate both of you and the work you do and the partnerships. I think if we leave this program today with anything of common, it's that we want to charge the community to shop local, support local, and boost local. We want to make this Making It Pledge program to be very successful so that we can really help the community have confidence in being stewards of our local businesses. The Chamber's going to be there right with you to support this campaign and also with any advocacy that we need to support together going forward. I just want to say thank you to Cadence Bank today for the wonderful sponsorship and the ability to get this message out. We will have you back on again because these are such timely topics that we need to make it a routine for our membership in the community to hear the updates. We're very excited about next week's town hall. We will have Renee Haynes, Director of the North Central Health District, give us a very important update. We want the community to be very serious about your support of the community, but also be safe. And we thank everyone for joining us today. Have a very nice weekend.
Thank you both.
Thanks,
Good to
Yvonne.
see y'all. Thank you.
Hey y'all, I'm Ann Starley, Leadership Making Class of 2019, hashtag that class. And today I'm coming to you from the historic Hay House where I got my start in tourism. I came to Macon in 2001 as a freshman at Mercer University with one goal in mind, to go to Mercer Law School. The summer between my third and fourth year, I got a job as a docent here at the Hay House. And my parents got a really confusing phone call when I told them I wanted to switch career paths. I had decided I wanted to do marketing and event planning for nonprofits. Now as the senior sales manager at Visit Macon, it's my job to work with groups to bring conventions, trade shows, and sporting events to our hometown, which is a great boost for our economy. As I'm sure you can imagine, since March things have been quite different. Trade shows stopped, travel was canceled, meetings couldn't happen anymore, and a lot of our local attractions had to temporarily close their doors. Even our festivals had to change. But that was months ago, and things are starting to pick up. So while we're still waiting for out-of-town guests to get to see our Macon, I want to encourage you to get out and be a tourist in your hometown. Museums are starting to open back up. Shops are ready for us to take home a memento, and restaurants are ready to wet your whistle. So get out and explore Macon. How can you do that? Well, the Olympics were canceled, right? Not so much. The Georgia Sports Hall of Fame has an exhibit completely dedicated to the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta. Did you know it's actually the largest sports hall of fame in the United States, dedicated to one single state? Right across the street is the Tubman Museum of African American Arts, History, and Culture. Or you can schedule a private tour and see why I fell in love with the Palace of the South. If you don't feel like being inside anymore, there's an abundance of things to do here in Macon. The Okmulgee Mounds National Historical Park is back open in the afternoons, and they have a ton of walking trails that you can get out and enjoy nature for free. Emerson River Park is also open, and I go there frequently on the weekends. I see walkers, bike riders, and fur babies, so you get to get out and enjoy everybody else. There's also the Okmulgee River that goes straight through our amazing town. You can paddle or float it down on an afternoon just to get some relaxation in. I keep hearing this called the new normal, and maybe some things will stick around. If you're like me, you've already made an investment in cloth masks to complement your outfits. But I'm ready for some things to return, like the day when our city is filled with families here for a tennis tournament and enjoying a bite to eat downtown, or seeing buses filled with people getting a view of our beautiful cherry blossom trees. And of course, I'm ready for us to return to the universal Southern language of a hug as a greeting and a goodbye. I hope you keep your spirits up, and I'm ready to see you out and about at hashtag the city where soul lives.